Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Welcome to Accelerated Health Radio and TV. I'm your host, SaraBanta. I'm a health coach, natural supplement expert, and a busy mom of 3 teenagers. Today, my guest will be talking about protecting yourself from radiation in our toxic world, which can have detrimental effects on our health. And I know that you really need that strong physical foundation to work on your mental and your spiritual health. So whether it's overcoming anxiety and depression, losing weight, or detoxing the body in the proper way, and even increasing your level of frequency in life, you need a strong physical foundation of health in order to gain the willpower to make the bigger changes in your life. If you're new to following me, I specialize in helping you get there. You can find my health articles, my cutting edge natural supplements, devices, and protocols at acceleratedhealthproducts.com. Accelerated Health Products is the sponsor of the show. So as you support my website, I'm able to bring you more cutting edge content and guests to the show. Today, as I mentioned, we're going to be diving into radiation protection, something I'm very passionate about. But first, I wanted to talk about some tools you can help with your protection and actually help with reversing your age. The goal is to improve mitochondrial health and increasing energy at the cellular level so that your neurons are firing. And the number one supplement is my basic accelerated cellular detox. Accelerated silver. Accelerated silver is enhancing your immune system's ability to devitalize foreign pathogens, including viruses, bacteria, fungus, and parasites. If your immune system is bombarded with fighting foreign pathogens, it cannot simultaneously engage in any anti-aging mechanisms or fighting autoimmune issues. By keeping your immune system strong, the body engages in anti-inflammatory processes, leading to optimal health. And it's enhanced with scalar frequencies to increase its efficacy. No other silver solution has this. Next is the accelerated keto. This flips you into fat burning mode within 30 minutes, and your body taps into its own fat stores for energy right away. You feel great physically, mentally right away, and you feel like, oh my gosh, I can do this. I can do life at such a different level. When the body's running on ketones produced by the accelerated keto combined with intermittent fasting and a low carb, high protein diet, instead of utilizing glucose for energy, ATP production increases significantly in the mitochondria and mitochondrial biogenesis is optimized. Furthermore, the additional ingredients in accelerated keto breaks down saturated fats into unsaturated fats. These unsaturated fats are easier for the body to utilize and easier for the body to convert into ketones. So when you're fasting, the body fat's more readily available to burn for energy, which increases ketones and autophagy mechanisms further. And that autophagy is the cleaning up of the damaged and diseased cells in the body. Because of this property, accelerated keto is able to defat the liver. And you know I love my liver. You got to keep your liver strong and clean. The liver is responsible for converting stored fat into ketones. The more a person's liver is defatted and unclogged, the easier it is for the liver to function in all areas, including breaking down fat molecules into usable energy and increasing mitochondrial biogenesis. The liver is also where thyroid hormones convert from T4 to T3. the inactive to the active form. And as the liver functions better, the thyroid works better, increases metabolism, mitochondrial function, and energy. Accelerated keto also has HMB, which prevents muscle wasting. HMB is not in most supplements. Mostly people put in supplements leucine. Only 3% of leucine turns into HMB, and HMB is the goal. We actually use directly HMB for a secondary source of ketones and to prevent muscle wasting. With more muscle tissue, more mitochondria with increased ATP is sustained. Also, it's got organic mucil, which is known to break down fats even further and provide an energy spark to burn those fats as it breaks it down. It's also known to support joint and muscle health. Lastly, there is the organic tricottu in the accelerated keto that heats up the digestive fire. So many people are having digestive issues, and this helps. Next is the acceleridine iodine. Sufficient iodine in all tissues helps produce 18 times the amount of ATP in the cells than when you are just on a glucose-based diet and you are iodine deficient. ATP is true cellular energy. It is not the energy from your coffee or your Monster drink. It is that true cellular energy that keeps you going all day long, mentally and physically. It's needed for physical performance, wound healing, fat burning, and something called healthy apoptosis, which is the dying of diseased and damaged and cancer cells. When more ATP is increased, energy and fat oxidation increases as well. Acceleridine also helps improve metabolism and physical energy by supplying the necessary iodine for your thyroid hormones. Remember, I mentioned T4 and T3. Well, that 4 and 3 stand for molecules of iodine. And acceleridine is the only iodine that has 100% bioavailability and the type of iodine that the thyroid needs for metabolism. Most iodine supplements are only 10 to 20% bioavailable, and they don't provide the right kind of iodine for the thyroid. It is also enhanced with scalar frequencies to detox the cells from heavy metals, graphene oxide, and radiation. Next is the accelerated ancient salt. It is essential to have emulsifying salt and minerals, not only to stimulate digestion, but to hydrate the cells when you're intermittent fasting. It's not like any other fat or any other salt. It has strongly negative charged salt to help pull out the positively charged toxins, parasites, and undigested fats. So it also has that scalar charge enhancement, which we are going to be talking about with our guest, that it helps enhance its efficacy and helps detox the body from radiation and heavy metals. It also gets you out of a detox crisis. If you're experiencing the flu-like symptoms you get from detoxing, or if your blood sugar is high, if you've got a diabetic that has a blood sugar crisis, the salt helps bring the blood sugar down. It also helps with nausea, digesting fats, and of course, it tastes amazing. Next are my favorite patches. They're called the Energy Enhancer Lifewave patches. I put them here and then I put them on my ankles, and they increase ATP production in the mitochondria, increase heart rate variability, improve the bioelectrical measurement or phase angle of the cells, reducing inflammation and increasing energy and endurance. It also increases beta oxidation, which is the fastest way to increase cellular energy. They work together with the accelerated keto and the acceleridine to burn fat, boost the metabolism, increase circulation, and just give you a really good sense of energy physically and mentally. They work synergistically with all of them, and within 20 minutes, you feel the difference. The capacity of each cell increases. Along with that, the X39 patch increases your own stem cell production, resets over 4,000 genes to a younger state, so your body's acting as if it is its 20-year-old self. What does that mean? That means your body's detoxing more efficiently. It has more energy. It's repairing quicker. It's got less inflammation. It is activating stem cell production throughout the whole body. And what's different about this versus stem cell injections is your body is actually stimulating the stem cells it needs. With stem cell injections, you might be injecting the wrong stem cells. You might be injecting them in the wrong place. This is letting your body do the smart work for you. And with the X39, you've got the X49, which I'm super excited about, because not only does it increase energy and recovery after exercise, it goes after burning fat, and it builds lean muscle. And that's super important as we get older, especially us women after the age of 40. It's hard to keep that muscle mass on. It also increases bone density. I'm very passionate about that. I have osteoporosis in my family. I also am super passionate about hair loss, and X49 has been shown to increase the thickness of hair, the growth of hair, bringing back old hair, turning the color back. Just amazing. So I'm super excited about all three of those patches. I give more tips and tools through my free group coaching. You can join with the link below on Telegram, or email me through acceleratedhealthproducts.com. The difference between me and any other group coaching is I provide the most cutting edge frequency enhanced supplements that work synergistically with each other, and your body doesn't experience those flu-like symptoms. You truly do feel great day one. Leave a comment below if you're interested, or check it out on the website acceleratedhealthproducts.com. Now to the good stuff. Ken Rohla is back. He's a natural health educator and inventor, specializing in rejuvenation and cellular regeneration using a live plant-based diet, herbs and natural supplements, detoxification, emotional healing, reprogramming of limited unconscious beliefs, ancient esoteric techniques, and cutting-edge science. Currently, his focus is developing natural solutions for new severe threats to our health, such as bioweapons, nanotechnology, nuclear radiation, geoengineering, pollutants, genetically modified foods and microorganisms, electromagnetic pollution, depleted food, and other issues. If I listed all of that out a year ago, most of you would have thought I was crazy. But I think a lot of you are now realizing that this stuff is here. Welcome, Ken. How are you today?
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Sara.
You are more relevant than ever with everything that you have been telling me for years and years. And anytime I would bring this stuff up with anybody else, they think I was crazy. You know, you're talking like you're crazy, Sara. You're part of the conspiracy theories and all of this. But I think now these topics are out there and they're accepted as our new reality. So I'm super excited to dive in. And I wanted to first just have you define what geoengineering pollutants are, because a lot of people, that's a lot of verbiage. And in layman's terms, for those who are just tipping their toes into this world, what does that mean?
Well, officially, geoengineering is manipulating the weather, and it's doing it through various technologies by spraying metal particulates in the atmosphere, very fine metal powders like aluminum and barium and strontium, sometimes other things. But it's also being used as a vector for biowarfare, which we've been in an era of biowarfare for a couple of decades at least now, really more than that. But it's really come to people's attention, of course, since COVID. But I've been teaching about bioweapons for about 16 years. So geoengineering is part of that vector where it can be used for weather warfare, which is being used extensively on Earth. When you see a lot of the weird stuff going on, for example, like the Texas freezes last year that knocked out, their power grid and stuff like that, and rice crops getting knocked out. Like half the U.S. rice crop was knocked out at the beginning of COVID, I think, which was weather warfare. China retaliating against the United States for us doing the same thing to their rice crop. So geoengineering is one of the methodologies for doing weather modification. And publicly, you can actually get degrees in it, believe it or not. It's not at all a conspiracy theory. Some people call them chemtrails. And, the mainstream science calls that a conspiracy theory. But geoengineering is not at all a conspiracy theory. You can get doctorate level degrees in geoengineering from places like Harvard and Oxford and other universities around the U.S., around the world. So it's very much a new frontier being presented as, oh, we've got to do something about climate change and, that kind of thing, which is all a smokescreen. It's bogus because we have technologies and have had technologies for many, many years to balance the weather and to even start or stop a pole shift. And so I've worked with a lot of advanced technologies over the years and have seen these technologies. So I'm not reading conspiracy theories on the internet. And the problem is when you're ahead of the curve, everybody thinks you're crazy, as you mentioned. I've been teaching about this stuff for 20 some years. And it's only been in the last couple of years with all the insanity of this so-called pandemic that people are starting to wake up to the reality of the technological advances that are being used for warfare and for population control or reduction and all kinds of things. So in a nutshell, that's what geoengineering is. It's weather manipulation through a bunch of different technologies, not just spraying metal particulates in the atmosphere. There's also technologies called scalar interferometers, which are energy devices. They're large antenna arrays, which actually these days have gotten much smaller than they used to be, that can inject huge amounts of energy into the atmosphere and change the weather radically very quickly, create storms, stop storms, and all that kind of stuff. And part of the reason I know about this stuff is because I developed technologies to counteract that. And so I've developed technologies that will actually balance the weather and clear the chemtrails and the geoengineering pollutants out of the atmosphere. And I've had 4 attempts on my life for doing so. So, the reality of it is much, much bigger than most people would even want to believe, but it's definitely out there and it's going on constantly.
So as you're talking, obviously this weather engineering that is happening is a detriment to our world. Are you telling me that the whole theory behind climate change and we need to be changing our ways of living for climate change, that's the mantra, that they could actually be doing geoengineering to help the climate or for the good of humanity, and they're not. They're doing it for the detriment.
Yes, yeah, it's exactly what I'm saying. And climate change is a real thing. It's a combination of different things. Space weather, number one, I would say, because it's not just our planet that's that's being affected. There's all of the planets in our solar system are being affected by space weather because we're going through bands of high energy in the area of the galaxy that we're passing through now, and so that's affecting our weather quite a lot. But then, of course, man-made pollution and a lot of things that we're doing is throwing off the ionic charge in the atmosphere and throwing off the heating in the atmosphere and that kind of stuff. And geoengineering actually makes it worse because when you spray these metals in the atmosphere, it acts like an insulating blanket. They call it solar reflective management. And the idea is that you spray these particles in the atmosphere and it reflects the sun from hitting the surface of the earth, and therefore it cools the earth down. But what they don't say is that it also heats the earth up, because on the opposite side of the planet, on the dark side, at nighttime, it warms the planet up because it's like an insulating blanket. So, and it just absolutely destroys the atmosphere. It really, really throws off the ionic charge in the atmosphere. But yes, they could be using this to help the situation on Earth. And instead of using toxic heavy metals, they could be spraying the Earth with volcanic rock powders, which Earth naturally does through volcanism, and radically improve plant growth and crop growth around the world and the quality of our soils. And they could be using scalar interferometry with the right frequencies to help prevent and balance the weather rather than throw it off and use it for warfare. And I know that for a fact because I've done it many, many, many times. So I'm not speaking about theory here.
Wow. Well, let's talk about your devices. I want to talk about the home shield and the rest shield and how they work. Personally, I've got one and I love it. And I want you to explain to everybody what it is, how it works, and what is the method with the scalar technology.
Yeah, so scalar energy is a form of energy that is really what everything is made of. What it really is superluminal light, meaning that it's light energy or photonic energy that's traveling millions of times faster than the conventional speed of light. And it's what all matter and energy is made of. Like the physical matter and atoms, when you look inside of atoms, this whole what's called the Bohr model of the atom, BOHR, that we're taught in school is absolute nonsense. They teach that atoms inside are like little solar systems where you got a nucleus with an electron spinning around it, and then inside you've got smaller and smaller and smaller particles. And mainstream scientists are looking for the, quote, God particle, which is the ultimate particle that everything's made of. And they'll never find it because it's already known in advanced physics circles, and particularly in secret government labs and secret space agencies, but also people like Nassim Haramein and others have figured out that when you look inside of atoms, you don't have smaller and smaller particles. Once you get below the proton and the neutron level, what you have are geometric patterns of light, which means that all matter and all reality is holographic. And that when you understand that, that's, by the way, why those X39 and X49 patches work. You know, those Lifewave patches, it's working at a very, very fundamental level of matter to restructure matter and energetics at that very low level. So if you understand that, you can create energetic technologies or use foods or supplements and things that will enhance the subatomic energetic properties and restructure matter from the ground up. And in fact, our bodies do it all the time. When our bodies regenerate cells, they're actually sending scalar wave signals back in time to get the pattern for the healthy cells from the past, because the genetic blueprint that we're told is in the DNA is actually in the biofield of the organism. You know, whatever living organism, it's the actual biofield or the consciousness of the organism where the genetic pattern actually resides. The DNA is an antenna that picks it up and conveys it into the physical structures of the body. So by working at the subatomic level energetically, you can rearrange the subatomic particles of matter or the geometric patterns of light and restructure matter and fundamentally do a lot of amazing things, including including healing DNA. Because as I mentioned, the DNA is not the genetic blueprint, it's the carrier of the genetic blueprint. So I've had many, many years experience in feeding people certain things, superfoods and things that are high in monoatomic elements, and bombarding them with scalar energy frequencies that will restructure the DNA and heal it. So I don't know if that answers your question.
It does answer it. And then how does the home shield and the rest shield work as far as protecting us from the damage of the geoengineering pollutants?
So many years ago, I was studying a lot of different people's work, Tesla and a bunch of Russian scientists and folks. And I noticed that Tesla he created this device he called the personal oscillator, using kind of electromechanical means, coil and a rotor and stuff. He created a scalar field of certain frequencies that was beneficial in healing to living organisms. And so I looked at it and realized that I could do the same thing with digital circuitry. And so I developed a circuit that would create scalar waves and of certain frequencies that were healing and beneficial, and developed this little pocket-sized device called the stress shield that you carry with you, and it puts out a scalar energy field which will structure electromagnetic radiation and make it much, much less damaging. And so that was the beginning of developing that technology, and I discovered it had all kinds of applications. And so I wound up refining it and creating a larger device. It's a stationary device for inside your home called the rest shield, which is a little pyramid that's a powered scalar wave generator. And it puts out about a 20-foot radius field of scalar waves that structures EMF and protects you against EMF, but it also pulses at a frequency that the body and the brain and the cells will entrain with, and it will slow them down and de-stress them and relax them. And when your brainwave states slow down, it de-stresses you. It gets you into deep sleep states at night, but it also actually helps you. It helps your ability to create your reality, believe it or not, because these waves that it puts out act as a carrier wave for your own thought forms. And your own thought forms are a form of scalar energy that can actually coagulate and create matter or alter matter or do other things energetically. And so we're all collectively and individually creating our own reality by emitting this energy that will slow down and coagulate into matter and the electromagnetic spectrum of energy. So we have a big influence on our reality, but of course we're not taught that. So most people just react to life rather than consciously focus on creating it. But with that device, people started meditating and doing things with it and noticing all these synchronicities and things just kind of falling in their lap. And so then when the Fukushima nuclear disaster occurred, I had already worked with Chernobyl victims and helped several Chernobyl victims heal themselves from radioactivity poisoning. And I knew that the radioactivity was coming from Japan. Within a few weeks, it would hit the US West Coast, which it did. And so I looked online to see if anybody had solutions, because back in the 90s, I had worked with technologies that were free energy technologies, water, fuel, and other things that could power things non-toxically. They could also neutralize radioactivity. So I knew it was possible to neutralize radioactivity. So I started looking around to see if anybody had technologies out there to neutralize nuclear fallout from the atmosphere. And it turned out they did, but most of them had been suppressed, or they didn't really understand what they were doing and didn't have a very good solution for it. And so I spent about 1.5 years experimenting and wound up developing this device, which we now call the home shield, which I developed it for clearing the nuclear fallout out of the atmosphere, which it will do for a 75-mile radius. It's a little device about the size of a 2-gallon bucket. It's not very big. And it just runs on a 12-volt battery. But that thing, to my amazement, it didn't just clear the nuclear fallout out of the sky for a 75-mile radius. It cleared all air pollution out of the atmosphere for a 75-mile radius, including geoengineering pollutants or chemtrails and other air pollution. And it doesn't drop it down on the Earth. It sends it out into space, because it creates this vortex of energy that's kind of like a vacuum cleaner that sucks the pollution out of the atmosphere and sends it out into space. And it doesn't alter the weather. It doesn't damage the atmosphere. All it does is pull the pollution out because of the frequencies that it operates at. But when you clean the pollution out of the atmosphere, that balances the weather, number one, because it balances the ionic charge in the atmosphere. So you get normal weather for your area. So we put them in places like the deserts of Arizona. The deserts green up, droughts go away. We put them in Florida. It stops hurricanes, because nowadays all these hurricanes are engineered, particularly the ones that hit the United States. But because these countries are using weather warfare against each other, they're always engineering storms and weather. And you can, if you know what to look for, you can see this in the patterns of these weather anomalies. So it had all these amazing results. Stopped droughts, like here in Florida. Up until that point, when I put my first one out, we were having fires and droughts, and almost had to evacuate one time for a 1,200-acre fire near my house. All that went away when it started putting these devices out, because it just cleans the atmosphere and balances the weather, and you get normal weather for your area. And so it turns out that it also, when I started doing rainwater tests and atmospheric tests, we discovered that it was pulling everything. It was pulling nuclear fallout out of the atmosphere. It was taking all the pollution out. And so that's one of the ways, I've been teaching about what to do about radioactivity and how to keep it out of our bodies. But that's one of the front lines, is just keep it from coming down on you to begin with by using this device. And it has other applications as well. It turns out it improves sleep. It's good for EMF protection. It improves plant growth, because plants can actually feed off of the energy that it puts out. So it accelerates plant growth, de-stresses them. It's good for honeybees. It's good for all kinds of different living organisms and systems. So that's kind of how it got started.
So with the 5G towers going up, and there's really no escaping it, and I know there's one very close to my house, is that protecting me from the 5G tower?
Yes. Yeah, what it does, the scalar fields that these devices put out, they structure electromagnetic waves. And what that means is, normally if you're sitting around anywhere, even in remote places, it's less so in remote places, but even in remote places now, we have so much EMF from satellites, from 5G, which is satellite-based technology, and ground-based towers. But wherever you're at, you're surrounded by EMF, TV towers, radio towers, military stuff, radar guns at airports. There's lots and lots and lots of EMF that we're getting exposed to, and you can measure it. You can get meters and measure it for wherever you're at. And so these devices create like a bubble. They create this field. Normally that energy is bouncing around, reflecting off of surfaces, and it's coming at you from all different directions, passes through the body, and it interferes with cellular communication. So what my devices do is put this scalar field around you so that you're in this bubble. So when those waves come toward you, when they hit the field, they all become coherent, which means they all become parallel. So when they pass through the body, they're all passing through in one direction. And that radically reduces the interference with cellular communication and tissue heating and those kinds of things, depending on the strength of the EMF. So yeah, they do protect against 5G or any kind of EMF, any kind of electromagnetic radiation, because they're scalar, they're not electromagnetic, so they can structure electromagnetic waves.
Amazing. And if anyone's interested in learning more about the Home Shield or Rest Shield, they are at acceleratedhealthproducts.com, and it will take you to Ken's website to learn more about them. I've got one. I have been immediately started sleeping better when we had it at our house. And of course, I love the fact that I know that it's another layer of protection. Well, we're going to take a short commercial break and come right back and talk more with Ken Rohla. Welcome back to Accelerated Health Radio and TV. I'm here talking to Ken Rohla, all things EMF, scalar. Let's get our health back. And we have to be a little careful with what I want to talk about now. But I would say that in my clientele and in my friends and family and all of my circle, the common theme over the last 2 years is, gosh, Sara, I've got these headaches. I've got these pains that I didn't have before I had the jab or got the virus, or my body just doesn't seem the same. And I'm gaining weight all of a sudden. I'm not doing anything different. Something's going on. How do I get this stuff out of me? How do I get back to feeling myself? And, we're talking about EMFs and how they can kind of scramble your DNA, scramble your body. And obviously that has physical ramifications. So, Ken, with being careful, how do we reverse the damage done over the last 2 years to our physical bodies?
Well, it depends on what kind of damage you've got and, from what source, because you've got the bug, this bioweapon, and it has been confirmed to be a bioweapon by multiple labs around the world, including Dr. Luc Montagnier, who died recently, but he was a Nobel Prize winning virologist who discovered the HIV virus. And so it was no surprise to me. I've been teaching about this for 16 years now because I started seeing this showing up in people's bodies a long time ago. So if you get exposed to the bioweapon, that's relatively easy to deal with if you know what to do. There are actually a bunch of pharmaceuticals, which I normally would never, ever recommend, but there are actually several pharmaceuticals that have been shown to be extremely effective in dealing with it. America's frontline doctors, for example, have been exposing which ones work really well. And also Dr. Stella Emanuel, she's been helping people to get access to those things. And actually one of them actually saved my wife's life, because my wife was at the DMV, standing in line at the DMV, and some guy came up in front of her and talking to her and got right up in her face talking to her. And then he tells her he's been injected. And then within an hour, she developed a cough. I was traveling and was away. And long story short, after a few weeks, she kind of ignored it because she didn't think it was anything. And after a few weeks, she got very, very ill, almost died. And what saved her, even though I had all these supplements, I was doing everything I knew and it was helping, but it was not helping enough. It was, she was slipping. And she finally reached a point where she was going into convulsions and shaking and violently, and she was in bad shape. I mean, she was getting worse and worse. And a friend of mine happened to have some ivermectin and gave her some ivermectin, and within 12 hours her symptoms were gone, and within 4 days the bug was gone. And we confirmed that with quantum biofeedback. So the bug itself is fairly easy to deal with. There are supplements like, well, yours, Accelerated Silver is one that I always keep no matter where I'm at. I buy it by the case, as you know, for myself. So that's a big one. But also chlorine dioxide, also known as MMS or CDS. That's one that I always keep with me that's very effective for any kind of a pathogen or a bug. And there's iodine, it's like your iodine. It's very, very effective. And so those are some of the things for taking out the bug. But if really, all you really need is chlorine dioxide. And if you're talking about the famous bug or these bioweapons, ivermectin will stop it like that within a few hours. And I've seen that over and over and over again. And like I say, normally I would never in a million years recommend a pharmaceutical, but that one is actually not like most pharmaceuticals. It's not synthetic. It's made with fermentation. It's not an antibiotic, so it doesn't wipe out gut flora. It doesn't have any negative side effects. So I've tested it myself on a bunch of different people, and I haven't seen any negative side effects. So that's one that I would actually recommend. So that's with the actual, the GMO bug. But then you also have side effects from the injections. Some of it's not really well known because, again, this is a bioweapon. There are whistleblowers like Karen Kingston from Pfizer who have been showing Department of Defense patents and drug company papers and patents and things showing some of the technologies involved in this. And also other doctors and labs are showing that these vaccines, some of them, there are different batches with different ingredients in them. Some of them, they are showing to have nanotechnology in them, nanoparticles, in some case nanolipids with things encased in them, or self-assembling nanites, which are like little nanoparticles that can assemble into little microscopic machines within your body, and they can become things like RFID antennas, and they can actually be used, believe it or not, they can be used for mind control. And this is not a conspiracy theory. There are Department of Defense patents showing this. I've got a 6-hour webinar on the bug showing the scientific papers of all the things that it can do, what these nanites can do. They can be used for a lot of different purposes. But practically speaking, also there's graphene oxide particles in them, and that at the microscopic level, they're like little tiny microscopic razor blades. When they get into the blood vessels, they can slice up the inside of blood vessels, which then causes bleeding and clotting. And that's why you're getting a lot of these blood-related issues like myocarditis and blood clots and things like that. And so there are supplements, there are lots of supplements and foods that can help to prevent blood clotting. And so, like chlorophyll, wheatgrass juice, juicing in general, electrolytes, enzymes, raw food. There are a lot of things that will hydrate the body at a cellular level and help prevent the blood clotting, because the blood clotting comes from the charge on the red blood cells. making it so that they clump up and clump together. So you can alter the charge in these various ways with food and detoxification, and also energetic devices like quantum biofeedback and some of these other devices that you sell, like the amp coil and things that will help with this stuff. And so that's another vector, is that this nanotech, how do you deal with that? And this is one of the things I'm working on right now. It's one thing to get nanoparticles in your body. If they're not self-assembling nanites, you can detox them out with things like nanozeolites and other detoxifiers, binders, and pull them out of the body. But if they're self-assembled, then you're going to need probably to have some kind of field technology to either disassemble them and extract them from the body, or just make them disappear from the body using scalar technology. Because scalar energy is what everything is made of. It's what all matter is made of. You can alter matter with scalar waves, and you can actually make matter disappear. You can actually dematerialize it. So this is one of the approaches I'm working on now, is using a combination of scalar technologies and human consciousness itself to dematerialize these nanites and get them out of the body. And it's too early to tell right now if what I'm working on is going to be effective. But I do know I have met people who have used, just believe it or not, just meditation, and were able to, with specific meditation techniques, to get these things out of the body by dematerializing, because that's part of the power that we have. So it depends on, what people are being affected by, if they've been injected or not, if they picked up spike protein infection, or if they actually got COVID. Everyone that I've seen that actually got, excuse me, I didn't mean to say the bug. Everybody who got the bug, that actually got the bug, they were relatively easy to deal with and heal up. People that got the spike protein infections, that's much more difficult. It's much more serious, and it's much more likely to kill you than just the bug itself. And of course, the older you are, the weaker your immune system typically, and that's going to have a big impact on it, which I can definitely verify that. But all of these things that you and I teach are very effective for most of this stuff. The nanotech is the tough nut to crack, and I know there are people working on it. I also know that there are technologies already available. They're not available on the market publicly, but there are technologies available in covert government programs that can remove this nanotech from people's bodies. It may also be possible to disassemble them with magnetics and then pull them out of the body with chelators. So these are some of the approaches that people are working on and I'm working on, but I don't have anything conclusive yet for that.
It's just amazing because it all does sound very conspiracy-like, but I know that most people are waking up to what's really going on. And you mentioned diet and supplements and your immune system. And this is what I keep telling people is, at the very basis, you need to be taking care of your body, because you're more compromised from all of this stuff if you're not eating right, a clean diet, clean water, exercise, sleep, and the power of belief. Something that I heard this morning, Ken, just to take it down to the most basic level. They took a group of people who are physically active but didn't think they were exercising, and what the placebo effect of the thought of I'm exercising versus I'm not. And they were the housekeepers at a hotel. And those people work really hard. They're changing linens, they're pushing carts all day, but in their minds, are they exercising? No. So they took this group of people and they told them, you're doing a lot of exercise and nothing else has changed. And what happened was that group of people all of a sudden got stronger and lost weight just because of the power of belief. And so this is something I really want to stress, because you have so much power within yourself, just within your belief system, what you wake up to and decide to engage in that day, whether it's your thoughts, your food, your movements, your activities, and all of these things contribute to your health. and can protect you from some of these things that maybe a lot of us laymen don't even understand. Nanotechnology, I don't really understand it. Maybe, your level of understanding is way ahead of most people. But it just shows you that even regular people, in layman's terms, can take control of their health back. So maybe we just literally have 2 more minutes. If there's anything we're missing that we have not touched on today that you wanted to mention around this topic.
Well, exactly. Meditation is extremely powerful. It's one of the most powerful tools we have. And there's a guy named Shreyan's Daga, Shreyansdaga. He's an Indian man. I met him in India a couple of years ago. He's not a guru, he's just a businessman, but he's extremely adept at manifesting. And he's got a meditation course, a 28-day meditation course on YouTube. If you look him up, or you can go to his website, shreyansdaga.org. And that has very, very specific techniques for meditation, how to manifest what you want and how to heal your body and all kinds of stuff. And he has some specific techniques for bringing brain coherence and heart coherence together so that you can accelerate manifesting what you want in life, or healing your body. And I can tell you it works amazingly well. I've just had the most amazing experience doing that. And I meditate at least an hour every day. But even so, his techniques I've found are much more effective than a lot of others that I've used.
It's true. When I feel more in tune with my body and I'm focused on meditation and I'm not in a stressed state, the synchronicities that happen in my day, the way I'm able to manifest my day, the joy I feel is at such a higher level of frequency. I'm living at a higher level of frequency. I also can feel my physical body feeling better, more energetic. I can feel my immune system stronger. When I let that part of my life go and I'm not on top of it, and I feel like I'm chasing the dog all day long. I feel like things are just not going my way. There's no manifestation. There's no synchronicities happening. I feel out of control, and my beliefs and I truly feel that one of my purposes in life is to teach people how to take their control back. Because when you feel that control, the fear goes away and you're able to live at a higher level of frequency and just a higher level of joy. Well, Ken, we are out of time. Before we go, I want to make sure you can tell people where they can follow you and find you, your website, and also your private organization as well.
Well, my main website for products is freshandalive.com. That's where we sell our supplements and technologies and things. But where I teach is freshandaliveclub.com. I had to move to a private membership site because I was getting attacked so many ways. But there's no subscription. It's just a one-time $5 fee to get us into the private domain so that I can tell the truth. So those are my 2 websites.
And Ken is just touching the surface of what he's talking about in the private. So I highly, highly recommend you join, because he doesn't have to be censored there. And we were only able to cover a little bit of it. But Ken, you are so amazing and you're just a gift to this world. And I personally really owe a lot to you and the knowledge that you have given me over the years. So I thank you and I'm indebted to you. So thank you, everybody else, for joining us today. If I can help you with your health issues, you can contact me through the website, acceleratedhealthproducts.com. I'm happy to put together a personalized protocol for you. I would love for you to join my free group coaching. I have the link below. It is a group of like-minded people, a very loving and encouraging group. We all look out for each other. I put daily articles and videos in there. I answer questions constantly, and you only learn. What is there to lose? You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram under Accelerated Health Products, my YouTube channel, and all of my podcast platforms, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Stitcher, Pandora, over 100 other podcast platforms this episode and all my episodes are uploaded to. If you like what you heard today, please hit the subscribe button and share with a few of your friends. Leave a comment below. Tell me what you've learned, and that will help me bring more cutting edge guests to my show. Join us every week live at 1 p.m. Pacific time, and you can also use coupon W4HC20 for 20% off site-wide. Thanks and have a great week.